Hi, welcome back to, well, let's see, lesson 10, creating a desire board. What is a desire board? Some of you might have heard of it as a vision board, or you might have seen somebody have a vision board in their office or their home. And basically, it's a collection of images that outline what someone would like to see in their lives. We're going to do something similar, only we're going to take the exercise and the I am worthy statements that you have from the last module, as well as the what I'm going to call the word soup, or the large document that you've created, hopefully pretty large, with all the words that describe the images that are in your head about the fantasy that you have, about your epic sex life that you're creating in your mind. All these words that you've written down, we're going to take that soup of words and we're going to put images to it. So your desire board, there's some scrolling here as I talk, you'll see a few examples. These are also in your workbook. And these examples are just to give you an idea that there is no right or wrong way to do this. You can make a very simple board with just a couple of images. You can make a board with words and images. You can make a very large and expansive board with lots of images and lots of different things on it in one board. Or you can make several smaller boards for each subject. So for example, the large one that you see in your workbook that is on the right upper hand corner, that's my desire board. That's in my living room right now. That is created a few years ago by my partner and we spent 16 hours. I think it was right around holiday season. So we had several days to kill, but we spent 16 hours clipping out pictures from magazines that we had and really putting together that board that includes travel, it includes my business launch, it includes personal and intimate things about our relationship, it includes family and children, and it includes monetary success. So all of those things are incorporated on that one huge board that took us, collectively 16 hours to put together. But you can do each of those things, each of those areas of your life on a separate board, or you can do it in a notebook. You don't have to have anything more than a file folder really to start collecting images. You can put it in a notebook and start pasting, literally just use a glue stick and whatever pictures you find, paste into a part of your notebook. So if you have one notebook for your sexual desires, you have one notebook, or one notebook page, I should say, for your business desires or career desires, another one for family. However you want to break it down is fine. There is no wrong way to do this. The idea really is just to take what you've imagined in your brain and given yourself license to breathe into life, so to speak, and that you've now taken words from your brain and put them on paper. That's the important step there. In that last module, we put all these words on paper. You've given yourself permission to even fathom the idea that these might come to you at some point. And now we're going to give your brain a collage of all of these images so that it can figure out the puzzle of how does it bring these things to you? How does your brain tell the universe, I want this, I desire these things, bring them to me? That is what the desire board is all about. It is basically vision casting forward into the future. So you now have this roadmap, if you will. You have the desires themselves, the worthiness statements saying that, yes, I can have these. You have those together collectively create a story in your mind. And then we have words that take that story that's in your mind and put them on paper. And now we're going to take those words and make them into images and mix them with images. So you can do a couple of things here. You can go online and find images, just simple Google searches or Bing searches, whatever you want to use for your for searching for things, your search engine. You can basically just type in things like sexy woman in a red dress, if you're looking to have a sexy red dress, or career woman with boyfriend, or, I mean, like, you can just put in all kinds of interesting ways of accessing pictures on the internet, images that you're going to use. And you can either save those in your computer and print them later, or just save them in your computer and do this as a digital file in your computer. That's another option. You can create digital folders within your computer, or you can go on a website like Canva or some other software that allows you to create beautiful prints if you want to print these out at some point, or downloads. Our workbook is made on Canva, the workbook for this class. So you can make things like that where you have several pages of information. You can put text in there. So there's lots of different ways that you can create this desire board. The idea behind it is really just to gather images so that you're feeding your brain constantly the things that you most desire. So that, again, your brain can figure out energetically with the universe, if that's what you believe in, that how to manifest this, how to make these things happen. But you need to have them in front of your face in order for, and in front of your eyeballs and in front of your brain in order for it to start dragging you forward towards them, right? So we talked about the energy of desire is to moving you forward without even you realizing it. But you're doing the work by putting the vision and desire board together. So in this particular case, I'm going to encourage you to do a desire board or a segment of a desire board that is specific to your sexual desires. Now, caveat, please do not be at work Googling things for your desire board that are going to get you fired. I take no responsibility for your search history. Are we clear about that? I would very much be upset to find out that you Googled, I don't know, threesome on your work computer and, got yourself in trouble with HR. So, okay, none of this happens at work. If you want to use your non-work phone to do it, that's fine. You can save images in your phone. You might want to use a search engine to look for things like sexy women getting massage or sexy muscled men. Now, the reason I keep using the word sexy is because obviously we're talking about images of sex and sexiness. What your idea of sexy and someone else's idea of sexy are going to be two different things. So do keep that in mind. And so you might want to change the wording to like romantic or sensual or fun, words that kind of describe the energy that you're looking to create in these images. You might also find it difficult to find certain types of images without really kind of going down the rabbit hole. So give yourself some time. This is going to be a fun exercise. It's not meant to be work. When I was looking for the cover of my erotica book, I looked at thousands of images of pictures of couples. And I was looking specifically for the energy of what does it look like when a man, sorry, I had to go grab my book, a man is in service to a woman. I cannot tell you the thousands of images that I had to search to find this picture. Thousands. And along the way, I found a lot of other really sexy images that I'll be using for other books that I produce later. But this one in particular, I was looking for her being in a standing position, him being kneeling or down, close to her belly like this. And when I say there were thousands of images that I looked at to get to this one, that's not a lie. It's true. It took me days. But when I found it, I was like, oh, that's the one, right? So I want you to give yourself some time to really scroll, and I had to go down the rabbit hole in order to find that image. And then I found other images similar to it, but not quite what I was looking for. And then I found some others that were like, oh, well, this is cool too. This isn't what I was looking for, but I like this image too. So you might find that you might find one particular photographer or somebody who creates images to be kind of like they get you. Like you find somebody and you're like, oh, this person like is in my brain because they're like making images of the thing that I'm thinking of. So what I'm saying is, don't be afraid to do your Google searches at home or on your personal device to find the images for the desires that you wrote out in the last segment. Now, those desires could be, for example, let's say you put down a threesome, very popular desire. In fact, I think it's the number one fantasy of humans. Not men, not women, humans, the number one fantasy. So let's say you wrote that down as one of the things that you desired. How would you find an image of that? Well, of course, you could just type in threesome and see what pops up. You could also type in pictures of just men and just cut out two guys or two women or a guy and a girl that you like the looks of, and stick them on your vision board with a picture of you in the middle, right? You could put the word threesome in print You could either write it or type it out and print it, and put images of 2 other people there. You could just use the word if that's enough for you. So there is no wrong way to do this, is what I'm trying to say. You just are finding images to put these words into pictures. And then your brain will look at that and go, oh, is that all? I can make that happen. Because once you have it in your mind that, first of all, you're worthy, that what you're asking for, what you're desiring is not shameful, that these things are possible for you if you are able to express them, and that they're not something you should hide from. You should be looking at them and being like, yeah, that's what I want. Then it's all much more plausible that and possible that you're going to be able to acquire those in some way over time. This is not going to happen overnight, but over time you'll be able to attract those things too. So I want you to go back to the last exercise where you wrote out all these words and phrases in non-English, because I said, don't worry about sentence structure, and look for the words and see if you can't find images that reflect that back to you and give you some idea of like, oh yeah, that's what I'm after. A really good example is actually on my vision board. And if you see this section, you'll see that there's a woman with a sheet over her, and there's high heels sticking up, and he's kind of behind her. That image to me was just like, it just struck me when I saw it. I was like, yes, that's what I want. I want him to be like enraptured, like I want him to be like, you're the sexiest thing ever. Like that's the energy of the relationship that I was desiring at that time. And so when you find an image like that, that just really speaks to you, please feel free to share it in our Facebook group. Now, obviously, if it's nudity, it can't be on the Facebook group because we don't want Facebook to shut us down. But if it's something that really embodies and something that you think other people might also be searching for an image like that, feel free to put it on the Facebook group. The other thing I want you to do, in addition to putting this desire board together, is to look at the workbook that you have. There's an exercise called Opening to Desire. And this is really just to, again, open your heart and your mind and your energy to the possibility that everything you're collecting, all of this evidence, which is what you're collecting, that this is possible and can happen for you. I want you to continue that process in the workbook by opening up to your desires and doing that exercise. And then the last thing I'm going to put in the group, you're going to see on the Facebook feed, not only these images that people are putting up of their desire boards. Obviously, I'd love to see your finished product of a desire board. I will, of course, comment as best I can when I see them. But I'm also going to put up some erotica prompts. And what this is the opportunity, again, for you to expand. It's an opportunity for you to open up to more possibilities. So this erotica prompt is going to be, maybe it's a sentence or two. Think of it like sexy Mad Libs. Okay. So it's a sentence or two of, like an opening scene, or he said this to her, or she said this to him, or he did this. I'm going to give you a sentence or two. And then I want you to take that sentence and write something, add to the story. And what would happen over the course of this thread that we're going to create together is I'm going to give the group, a couple of sentences to start off with, and then you're going to add something, and then the next person's going to add something, and the next person's going to add something, and it's going to become this nice long story in the thread, in the messenger, in the Facebook group. And so by the time we're done, we're going to have a pretty hot story, I can tell you that. But again, the whole idea there is to open to more possibilities, to add and stack all of this goodness on top of each other collectively, sharing in it together, and also to embody basically improv, if you will. If you've ever taken any improv comedy classes, the main tenet, one of the main tenets of improv, is that you always say yes to the other person, whoever you're improvising with. You always say yes to the scene, yes to the layout, and then to say, and this is the next thing that happens. So if somebody says, I'm an elephant in a tutu, you go, yes, you're an elephant in a tutu, and here's a ball for you to jump on top of and try to balance, right? So you're always adding to the conversation and enthusiastically going along with the person before you. So this is a really good exercise when we're talking about erotica, and we're talking about our sexual desires, to say yes to someone else saying, oh yeah, there's the next scene in this story that we're writing together. And then for you to add to that scene with your own little vignette of a scene. And I'm hoping by the time our thread gets done that we will have quite a good read. It'll be a little, we're going to be all a little worked up by the time we're done. So do keep an eye out for those Facebook erotica prompts. So for this module, you got 3 bits of homework. The first one is to do that desire board. Grab all the images you can, either electronically or in magazines. If you can do it that way, that's also a lot of fun if you have time. And put some kind of desire board together based on the words and phrases that you wrote down in the last module. Number 2 is looking in your workbook for the opening to desire exercise, get that done. And then going into the Facebook group to post not only your desire board if you finished it, but also looking for those erotica prompts and adding to our sexy story as we build it. And in the next module, we're going to move into a little bit of energy, like, okay, now we have all these desires, we know what we want. We know what we are going after in our lives. We're like, oh yeah, I'm really hyped up. I know what I know what I want to go after. How do we get it? What do we do next? How do we go from having this beautiful picture in front of us to bringing that into real world? How do we go there? And so that would be our next module. So I'll see you there.